Hello everyone. I know there was not supposed to be a second video today here on my YouTube channel, but under the circumstance, I have to talk about what happened last night. If you are not aware of the sad news that was announced shortly right before midnight last night, and I found out right after midnight. Last night was truly a devastating night for all of the United States. Honestly, we lost a great American leader who was courteous and respectful, and honestly, there'll never be another person like him again, I think, in our lifetimes or any other person's lifetime, and that is, of course, our nation's 41st president, George Herbert Walker Bush, died last night from complications of Parkinson's disease. The 41st president was 94 years old. He died peacefully at his home in the Houston, Texas area. And I'm sure a lot of people are upset about this news. My family is, of course, upset about this because I'll go into the main reason why I'm doing this video was because if you don't remember, one of the reasons why I went to Hoya Schermerhorn Street to fight for ADA accessibility was, and I mentioned him in my video, you know, it was important to bring up that in 1990, it was very important that we had the Americans with Disabilities Act signed by, of course, Bush 41. And because of him, many people who have disabilities still can get their rightful place in the workforce. And we have to thank him for that. But also, besides that point, I just mentioned it, you know, he was a very nice, humble man, and he had a soft-spoken tone of voice. Pretty much when he gave speeches, if you disagreed with him, you could at least understood his tone of voice and what his message was trying to say to millions of Americans. And we'll never see another person like him again when it comes to how he tried communicating with all of us. And let's also not forget that before he was the president, Bush 41 served in the military. He actually was a World War II veteran. And I'll list his accomplishments right now besides what he did. In his political career, pretty much he was congressman first in Texas. He was elected in 1966. Then he became the ambassador to the United Nations under President Richard Nixon. Then he became the chairman of the Republican National Committee in 1973-1974. Then he was the chief liaison to the People's Republic of China under President Ford. He was also the director of Central Intelligence for a long time. So pretty much he was the director of the CIA for, well, a long time, being a whole year, but he still did his part. But he was, of course, our nation's 43rd vice president through Ronald Reagan's 2 terms, and then became president of the United States. He was elected in 1988 and then lost the 1992 election to Bill Clinton, but his legacy during the presidency also included leading the United States through the first Gulf War, and pretty much once his presidency was getting close to the end, the United States was nearing another recession, and pretty much the American people decided that they didn't want to give him a second chance. And respectfully, we all have to understand why Bill Clinton became our nation's 42nd president. But also, the one thing we can all respect Bush 41 for was that he was a very bipartisan person. He tried, and even his predecessor, Ronald Reagan, and many of you know that's why I supported Mike Gatsby for United States Senate in Mississippi, in which I'm hoping he will run again, but that's way off topic. But he was actually pretty close friends with Bill Clinton, and they did a lot of good work together for charity. They helped people through 9/11. They helped people through Hurricane Katrina. And I also want to quickly mention Bush 41 was very friendly with Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir. And pretty much they had a very good relationship. And he was a very pro-Israel president. He supported Israel, and he would do anything to support Yitzhak Shamir, which, of course, if you don't know who he was, of course, one of Israel's great prime ministers, and sadly, he was shot to death in 1995, believe it or not, a couple days before I was born in 1995. But yeah, they were close. Not that many people realize that Yitzhak Shamir was close. Oh, my bad, it was Yitzhak Rabin. Okay, my apologies, everyone. It was Yitzhak Rabin who was killed. Right, now I remember. Shamir was yeah, right. Yitzhak Shamir and Yitzhak Rabin were in the office twice in their lifetimes. I know Netanyahu was prime minister twice, and he's the current prime minister of Israel. But when you look back at what Bush 41 did for our country, he always tried to look out for the best interest of what he was trying to do. And honestly, will we ever see another humble person like him again? I hope we do. I really hope we do. And I quickly want to mention that also Bush 41 has received honorary degrees in his lifetime before. In total, I can count, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He received 16 honorary degrees during and after the presidency. So, also the awards he received. 1990, Time Magazine named him Man of the Year. 1991, the United States Navy Memorial Foundation awarded Bush 41 a Sloan Sailor Award for his naval service and subsequent government service. In 1993, he was made an honorary Knight Grand Cross Order of the Bath by Queen Elizabeth. He was inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame in 2011. And in 2009, he received the PGA Tour Lifetime Achievement Award. And the reason why he got those awards was because he was, of course, a avid golf fan, and he was, of course, a very big fan of, honestly, the best golf player of all time, and that is, of course, Arnold Palmer. But honestly, what I want to say right now is to Bush 41, and that is, again, thank you for what you've done to make our country great. And I mentioned to the Bush family last night on Twitter that we all have to respect their privacy at this moment. That includes George, his son, and that includes, of course, includes Jeb, Laura, and everybody else in the Bush family who respectfully wants to mourn. I quickly want to mention that President Trump did issue a statement, which I will not read because I don't think it's appropriate to do so at the moment. Even if Obama was the president, I wouldn't read a statement because honestly, it's just disrespectful to do that to, bring up a current president giving their thoughts on how they feel, which really isn't necessary at this point. But I do, however, want to end this video on a very happy note, and that was, of course, a letter that Bush 41 wrote to Bill Clinton when he took office in 1993. And I will read the letter right now, so I'll read it to you all. Dear Bill, when I walked into this office just now, I felt the same sense of wonder and respect that I felt 4 years ago. I know you will feel that too. I wish you great happiness here. I never felt the loneliness some presidents have described. There will be very tough times, maybe even more difficult criticism. You may not think it's far. I'm not a very good one to give advice, but just don't let the critics discourage you or push you off course. You will be our president when you read this note. I wish you well. I wish your family well. Your success now is our country's success. I am rooting hard for you. Good luck, George Herbert Walker Bush. And of course, that letter was written and left for President Bill Clinton on January 20th, 1993. In this time, again, we all need to think and remember a great American life, and we all must remember what his legacy was. And when I have information about the funeral, I will, of course, pass that along to you all, because I'm hoping I can watch it, because it's very important that I do, because, again, this is a person that I had a lot of respect for as an individual human being, and honestly, I want to see the last glimpses of Bush 41. So that's going to wrap it up. Thank you all for watching. Until the next one, please take care.